Healing worship is not a magic trick, not a button you press to make pain disappear. It is turning your hurt toward the one who hears, naming the ache honestly inside a sacred conversation. It is saying, I am not okay, in a place where love does not flinch. Sometimes the body mends, sometimes it doesn't. But something deeper always starts to move. Healing worship is not pretending you feel strong. It is standing in your weakness and lifting it up like an open hand. It is tears on the floor and questions in your throat, and still choosing to stay in the presence. It is remembering you were never asked to fix yourself before you could sing. Here, the healer is not a distant idea, but a person who sits with you in the waiting room of your soul. Healing worship does not shame doctors, does not shame medicine, does not shame time. It blesses every good gift and also reaches beyond them to the one who holds your beginning and your end. In this place, you are more than your diagnosis, more than your failures, more than your fear. Here, healing can mean a scar that doesn't own you, a memory that stops shouting, a heart that can trust again. Healing worship is agreement with truth, not denial of reality. Truth that you are loved before you improve. Truth that your worth does not rise and fall with your symptoms. Truth that the cross was not just about forgiveness, but about restoring all that was broken. When you lift your voice, or even your silence, in that truth, something aligns. So why is healing worship important? Because pain isolates and worship reconnects. Because lies grow loud in the dark and truth is spoken in this light. Because if you only look inward, you see the wound. But when you look upward, you see the wounded healer. Because in a hurting world, we do not just need songs of escape. We need songs of encounter. Here, in healing worship, hope is not hype. It is a steady hand on your shaking shoulder. Healing worship is for the sick and for the caregiver, for the brokenhearted and the quietly exhausted. It is for the one still believing for a miracle and the one who doesn't know how to believe anymore. You are not disqualified by your doubt, your fatigue, your unfinished story. This is exactly where healing begins, in the half-formed prayer, in the simple, honest, help me. Now that you understand a little more about healing worship, know this: you are invited just as you are, not as you wish you were. Bring the diagnosis, bring the disappointment, bring the questions, bring the quiet. Let your worship be the place where your whole self meets a whole God. And as you come again and again, may you discover the truth about healing worship, that in His presence, you are never alone. You are never unseen. This isn't a spell or a secret code. This is a person, not a product. We don't sing to earn miracles. We sing because mercy already moved. Before we ever lifted our hands, before we ever knew we were sick. Healing worship is not if I sing loud enough, you'll fix me. It's you are good, even when I don't understand. It's remembering that scars don't scare God, that hospitals are not holyless places, that faith can tremble and still be faith. Some of us walk in limping. Some of us sit in the back with a diagnosis. Some of us stand in the front, shaky, hopeful, tired. Healing worship is when all of us tell the truth at once. I hurt, and I trust you anyway. It's the moment you breathe out what you've been holding for years, not polished, just honest.
You are the healer.
Even when I stay broken.
Even when I stay broken.
You are the healer.
You are the healer.
Even when the mountain stands.
Even when the mountain stands.
You are the healer. Hearing my questions, I rest in your heart more than in your hand. Sometimes God mends the body. Sometimes He steadies the mind. Sometimes He simply sits beside us and calls that moment healing too. He is not a vending machine where worship is the coin. He is a Father who already came running. So we don't worship to twist His arm. We worship to unclench our own, to let go of timelines and ultimatums, to say, have all of me, even this pain. Listen.
Faith is not pretending it doesn't hurt.
Faith is bringing the hurt.
Faith is bringing the hurt into the light.
Healing worship is not denying the wound. It's opening the wound in the presence of love. It's tears on the carpet, hands half raised, half falling, whispers barely leaving your lips. Stay with me in this. And He does. He stays. Sometimes changing the test result. Sometimes changing the way you wake up inside your chest. But either way, He calls you beloved before He calls you healed. So if you stand in a room and the song is about healing, remember this truth. You are not on trial. Your faith is not being graded. Your sickness is not a sentence. Your worship is not a bargain. You are already seen, already held. And as you sing, or simply breathe, He moves toward you. This is the truth about healing worship. We don't worship to get Him closer. We worship because He already came close. Some people think healing is a lightning strike. one moment of wonder, and then it's over. But healing can be a journey, a slow unwinding, like knots in your chest, finally learning to loosen. Healing worship is not a magic formula, not a code to crack or a password for miracles. It is turning your pain toward the one who listens, letting every ache become honest prayer. Healing worship is telling the truth about where it hurts right now. It is standing in a room full of questions, lifting shaking hands and saying, I still believe you are good, even here. Sometimes the body changes, sometimes the story does not. But your heart can still be touched, still be restored from the inside out. Healing worship matters because it reminds us we are not abandoned in the waiting room. It teaches us that God is not offended by our tears, our doubt, our silence. We sing a little, we speak a lot, we breathe between the words, and in those quiet spaces, grace can land like soft rain on hard ground. Listen, healing is not proof that you finally did faith right. It is a gift, sometimes seen, sometimes unseen. The truth about healing worship, it is less about getting a result and more about meeting a person. The one who sits beside you on the hospital chair, by the empty bed, inside the sleepless night, and says, I am here.
I am here.
I am here.
I am here.
So keep coming with the diagnosis, with the disappointment, with the hope that will not die. Whisper your worship through cracked lips, or just let your tears do the talking. Healing may come in a moment or over many mornings, but every time you turn your wounded heart toward God, you are already being healed by His presence. Healing worship is not a magic trick, not a switch we flip to make pain disappear. It is a table we are invited to as we are, ache and all. Healing worship is naming the hurt in the same breath we say holy. It is tears on the floor, hands that still tremble, lungs that still labor, and yet a heart that keeps reaching. The truth about healing worship is that presence comes before proof. Before the diagnosis shifts, before the scan is clear, before the limp is lifted, there is this quiet nearness. We sing, not to earn a miracle, but to remember we are not abandoned. We lift our need like a lantern in the dark, not to shame the shadows, but to see who stands with us. Sometimes healing is sudden, like a storm breaking open, like morning through a hospital window. Sometimes it is slow, cell by cell, day by day, a long obedience in one direction. And sometimes what changes first is not the body but the burden. The weight on the chest lightens, the anger loosens its grip, hope sits back down at the table. This too is healing. So we do not worship to control outcomes, to bargain, to demand. We worship to consent, to being seen fully. We bring the wound again and again and again. We let the ancient words hold us when our own words fall apart. We discover that healing is not just something that happens to us. It is someone who stays with us. The truth about healing worship is that it is honest. It does not hide the scar or hush the question. It dares to say, I am still in pain, and in the same breath, I am still in your hands. Here, in this gentle song, in this fragile body, in this waiting room of a world, healing may come as relief, as endurance, as comfort that does not leave. We open our hands, we open our mouths, we open our hearts, not to pretend it doesn't hurt, but to proclaim, even here, especially here, we are held, we are heard, we are being healed in ways seen and unseen.
We keep asking, is it real? These stories we hear of bodies mended, of minds made clear, of years of ache fading in a single evening. We bring our questions folded in our pockets. We bring our doubts tucked under polite smiles. We hum along, but inside we whisper, is this for me?
Here is the truth about healing worship. It is not magic, it is presence, it is love leaning close. Sometimes the bone knits, sometimes the heart does, sometimes the storm stays, but your boat stops sinking. Healing is God, taking nothing from you and giving you more of Himself.
We were told, if you just believe harder, if you sing louder, if you never miss a meeting, then you will be fixed like a cracked plate, glued good as new. But this is the quiet secret. Healing is not a prize for the strong and certain. It is a gift for the tired and honest, for the one who can only say, I'm still here. Help me.
Here is the truth about healing worship. It is not a test, you cannot fail it. It is a table set for every ache you carry. Sometimes pain leaves, sometimes courage arrives, sometimes the question stays but loses its teeth. Healing is God sitting in the dark with you until the dark forgets how to be frightening. In this room, songs rise and fall, hands lift, tears slip, quiet as rain. Some will walk out physically changed, some will walk out simply breathing again. Both are miracles. So when you stand, or sit, or can only lie there, you are not on the outside, you are already in the story. Because the greatest healing has always been this: you are not alone. You are not alone. Here is the truth about healing worship. It is not about earning, it is about opening your little scarred heart to a love that does not rush you. Sometimes the pain ends, sometimes the fear does, sometimes the illness stays but loses its power to name you. Healing is this: you belong, you are held, you are cherished right now, just as you are. And from that place, everything can begin to mend.
You came here looking for a song, but what you really brought was a question. Can I be healed? Not just bones and blood, but memories, failures you replay at night, places you still avoid in your own heart. Healing worship is not a trick, not a shortcut. It is you stepping into a presence that has already stepped toward you. Healing worship starts where pretending ends, in that quiet confession: I'm tired of fixing myself. You don't come to impress, you come with the limp, with the diagnosis, with the doubt you're scared to say out loud. This worship is not a bargain, not I'll sing if you heal. It is standing in the light of a love that already said yes.
Now that you understand the truth,
Healing is a person,
not a proof.
you are not begging
At a closed door,
you are resting where the river
already pours.
Now that you
Understand the truth.
You can breathe, you can loosen the wound. This is not pressure, this is peace. This is where striving finally leaves. In healing worship, we do not deny pain, we name it, then place it in wiser hands. Tears are not failure here, they are language. your body praying when words are gone. Sometimes healing is sudden, sometimes it is slow, sometimes it is the courage to live fully, even with a scar. Faith is not volume, it is agreement. Even here, even now, you are still good, still with me. Listen. Healing worship is not magic words. It is relationship remembered. You are not trying to twist God's arm. You are leaning into His heart, learning the sound of a voice that never left you. In this space, He does not just touch symptoms. He reintroduces you to yourself as He always saw you. Beloved, whole in His intention, safe in His hands, even while the story is still unfolding.
Now that you understand the truth,
Healing is a person,
not a proof.
you are not
Begging at a closed door,
You are resting where the river
already pours.
Now that you
Understand the truth.
You can breathe. You can loosen the wound. This is not pressure. This is peace. This is where striving
finally leave.
So when you come to worship, come honestly. Bring the ache, bring the anger, bring the unanswered questions. Stand, or kneel, or sit in silence. You are not disqualified. You are not too late. Let every breath say, I trust you with this. And as you do, may you discover that in His presence you were never alone. And the healing has already begun.